testify, they would be a part of the public record?
There would be much more. I mean, I don't think the Supreme Court precedent and the Supreme Court decision regarding broadcasting of trials, one of the main reasons trials aren't broadcast is because on controversial subjects people are targeted. So to say that broadcasting or not broadcasting, it's all the same, well then why do you want it to broadcast? I mean, come on. It's a big difference. Do you know of any experts who were willing to testify before Judge Walker's decision to allow cameras who decided then again not to testify? I don't personally know of them, but I know that they exist. I don't know, who they are, and if I did...
But you've heard that idea that people dropped out once Judge Walker...
If I did, I wouldn't tell you who they were because I value people's confidentiality.
But you did hear that there were experts lined up and they dropped out after Judge Walker said that he would?
Yes.
Okay. I learned an interesting fact, and I know you guys don't like to talk about Loving v. Virginia because you don't think it's relevant.
No, it's not relevant.
Right. One of the interesting facts that I learned recently is that at the time that Loving was decided, 70 to 80% of the American public polled was actually against the idea of interracial marriage. And so at that time,
what polling are you basing that on?
At that point, I think it's well documented that the court was really.
No, I don't think. I think if you look at the North and the movement, especially in northern states, towards more support for respect for basic truths about human dignity and race, I think that's probably wrong. 70%. I don't know how you'd get the polling, but even if it was the case, this is where your logic falls down. Race and sexual orientation are not the same thing. Laws banning interracial marriage were about keeping the races apart. Marriage is about bringing the sexes together. We have men and women, and marriage is that institution which takes these two sides of humanity and brings them together and connects them with any children that they may have. That's a beautiful good. There's nothing bigoted about it. There's something profoundly wrong that strikes at the heart of marriage about keeping the races apart, because what marriage is about is bringing the sexes together. Race has nothing to do with it. And in fact, if you look at the history of bans on interracial marriage, it's very different depending on country. I mean, you didn't have the same sort of you didn't have the same history in Latin America and other countries that you did in the U.S. So it's a particular form of racial injustice that happened in a number of countries, but was very strong in the U.S. because of the legacy of slavery. And obviously, this notion that somehow supporters of marriage as the union of a man and a woman are the equivalent of slaveholders or bigots or people who support bans on interracial marriage is absolutely absurd. You're basically saying that Reverend Walter Fauntleroy, who organized the March on Washington for Dr. Martin Luther King, he's a bigot. Is that what you believe?
I wasn't calling anyone a bigot. I just think he's discriminatory.
Okay, so he's discriminatory. So what's the difference?
Discriminatory?
No, not at all.
I think that there probably is a practical difference between being discriminatory and being a bigot.
What is it?
My definition of discrimination is someone who treats one group differently than another group. Would that be your definition of discrimination?
No. I mean, is it discriminatory to say that to have differences based on age or differences based on gender as far as restrooms? Is that discriminatory? You're treating groups differently.
The word discriminatory, I think, is pretty well defined. Like if I don't like hamburgers, but I like chicken burgers, I have discriminating tastes.
Discrimination and bigotry are based upon not affirming everyone's equal human dignity. I believe marriage profoundly affirms every person's equal human dignity. That does not mean that same-sex couples have the right to redefine it for everyone else. This is something that we're just not going to agree on. And instead of having a judge decide that he's going to dictate that your view is right and my view is wrong, what this country is about taking these sorts of disagreements and allowing people to vote on them. This is fundamentally different than the legacy of slavery. It's just fundamentally different. And the more you keep trying to make it the same, the more the African American community and the leadership of the African American community is going to say no to same-sex marriage. It's not winning hearts and minds. It's not the same fight. And I think that if you're going to make this argument, at least grant the fact that those of us that disagree with you don't hate you. We don't hate you. We don't hate same-sex couples.
Hate who? Me?
No, we don't hate supporters of redefining marriage. We don't hate same-sex couples. We don't hate people that want same-sex marriage. It's not about hatred or bigotry. It's about affirming marriage.
Have I ever used the word that I hated you or that I thought you were a bigot? Because
well, the Courage
I would
campaign, the Courage campaign has repeatedly used those words.
The Courage campaign has never used the word bigot, and I'll tell you why we haven't used the word bigot. It's because the polling that we've read on this issue is that you cannot have a civil discourse with someone if
you might, Well,
so
you might want to control the. Maybe I shouldn't judge you by the comments that get forwarded to me from people on your blog.
Maybe not.
But they're enough in number. And they're enough in nature where they're at the point of saying, you know, I want to take a steel-toed boot and, you know, kick you somewhere important. That's on your blog. That was sent to me by someone. And the nature of these things. You were saying
that to me. I was like, oh my God, Brian.
Well, you better not put that on there saying I said that to you. No, someone's emailed that to me from the Courage, from your blog. Now, if it was just one instance, that's one thing. But repeated attacks on us are not acceptable. Why don't you say, this is wrong, don't do this, we do it, and we tell people all the time, this is not acceptable. Hatred of any form is not acceptable. Why don't you guys do the same?
Larry Brown at your rally, who held a sign that said the solution to homosexual marriage
is
lynching.
Yes, we did. We said it.
You did not remove him at all.
We said
we sat there and watched the whole rally. I asked him after the rally if he would interview, and 2 people tried to interrupt me. He was there at the entire rally.
Well, he was. My understanding, I wasn't there, but my understanding was that he was at the side and that he was told to remove his sign. I don't even know if our people saw exactly what was on the sign. They just knew that it was extremely offensive, and he was told to remove the sign immediately, and that wasn't acceptable. As far as removing him, my understanding is that happened off to the side where we didn't have a permit.
No,
so I don't know where that happened.
Right next to the statue.
Well, again, people might have talked to him before you saw what you saw, because my understanding of what happened was that he was told to take down the sign and he was already on the side of the area. If not, yeah, of course, he should have been told to leave immediately. If I was there, I would have told him to leave, because that's not acceptable. I don't know that, you know, again, I don't know that anyone did anything wrong. I don't know that they saw exactly what was on the sign. I wasn't there. I think we handled it the best we could. If anyone's going to do something to claim that homosexuals or anyone else should be killed or attacked, we've repeatedly said this is absolutely unacceptable and it should be condemned. We ask you guys to do the same thing. If people are going to launch death threats against us, say that it's wrong.
We've gotten plenty of death threats ourselves.
Okay, well, you know what?
So anyone that does are those reflective? I'm sure they're from non-supporters as well. So are those reflective of your views?
Of course they're not. We never claimed.
So if we tallied up our death threats and we had an equal amount, can we just cross them out?
Well, I think here you're completely overreaching. We have a documented history of death threats, intimidation, and violence. I'm not aware of a single incident in which it's documented that out of Prop 8 during declarations people said that there was a legitimate death threat. If there was, we would condemn it.
We have 30 to 40 death threats in our inbox every single day.
Okay, well those people okay, well I'd love you should document them and you should pursue them. That's what we're doing, and that's what's happening in this case, is that the attacks on people's civil rights and our ability to stand up, we're going to continue to fight against. But you know, the fact is, if any of that happens, it should be condemned by both sides. It's simple. No one should be subject to that. Mm-hmm. But again, you know, I think this is a little bit disingenuous on your part. You run an ad showing 2 Mormons ransacking someone's house, attacking a religious minority, clearly bigoted religious bigotry, attacking Mormons, trying to act as if these people deserve to be attacked themselves, and then you say that somehow you're not doing anything wrong. We'd never run an ad like that. We would never treat a religious minority in that way. And it's completely unacceptable. And for you to stand here and say that it's fine and that you've done nothing wrong and you haven't incited hatred, it's just wrong. You have.
We've incited hatred on Mormons.
You think that ad showing attacking Mormons for supporting Proposition 8, do you think that that's acceptable?
I'm not sure exactly what ad you're talking about, but I wasn't with the Courage campaign during the Proposition 8 campaign.
Go back and look at an ad targeting a religious minority for their position on marriage. Look at that ad and tell me if you don't think that that's bigotry.
Well, I think that you sort of attack other religious minorities who would agree who want to perform same-sex marriages in their churches, and you're not allowing them to practice their religion. And so
we don't attack them. We just disagree with whether you should redefine marriage.
You fund campaigns that would go against their religious beliefs. You host rallies that go against their religious beliefs.
You're equating 2 separate things. We have a political system in which we disagree. We run campaigns and we try and honestly debate our differences, and everything that the Proposition 8 campaign put forward, I would stand behind 100%. There's nothing hateful or bigoted or attacking a religious minority. On the other hand, you're trying to equate that with going after the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for their support of Proposition 8 with an ad that showed two Mormons ransacking someone's house, ripping up their goods, and essentially depriving them of their rights. That's not what the Mormon Church did. It stood up for its belief in marriage, and there needs to be respect on both sides. Both sides have to be respectful.
You've been pretty secretive about your supporters and donors.
Yeah, yeah. There's pretty simple reason for that. In the wake of Proposition 8, people like the Courage Campaign and others encouraged a widespread attack on donors to Proposition 8 by posting their names and addresses on websites as if to say, go and get them. All of this is documented in the Protect Marriage case with the Doe declarations. I believe over 100 declarations now of donors who received threatening phone calls, death threats to churches vandalized for their support. Everyone has to play by the same rules. As a 501c4 organization, our donors are not public. If you want to change the rules, then change it for everyone. You would have to change it for the Human Rights Campaign. You would have to change it for everyone. What people are attempting to do now is to find out who our supporters are so they can threaten and intimidate them.
Is Glenn
We're not
Beck
going to put up with them. Is Glenn Beck a member of NOM? No, I don't think so.
What about Fred Phelps?
I've never seen Fred Phelps' name on anything, and if Fred Phelps attempted to say that he was a supporter of NOM, we would condemn it. Fred Phelps is an example of someone that does embrace hatred and does embrace bigotry, and from my time at the Family Institute of Connecticut to the present, condemned his actions. They're horrific.
You called Fred Phelps a bigot. What defines him as a bigot?
Well, it's one thing to stand. I mean, you can't see the difference?
You asked me earlier.
Well, it's bigoted to attack people and want to hurt people and to attack them for their beliefs, and to actually encourage people to attack them for their beliefs and to try and rob them of their rights. That's clearly bigoted, but there is no right to redefine marriage. That's what we disagree on. What Fred Phelps, in my view, is doing is just attempting to spread hate against not homosexuals, members of the military. I mean, I don't know that there's a limit on the groups that Fred Phelps hates.
Do you think it's nice that Lewis keeps calling us stalkers?
Well, you can be rather you can sort of stalk us.
So
I think I've been very fun. Well, I think that I'm willing to give you interviews and talk with you, and I think that generally most people probably wouldn't do that. Clearly, you totally disagree with us. Clearly, you think that we're discriminating. Clearly, you're not going to necessarily give us a fair shake on your website. I'll still talk with you because I believe in reason, and I believe that we can air our differences publicly.
So do we. That's why we talk to you.
Well, air the whole interview.
And I personally know. Well, we
air
talked
the whole
for so
interview.
Long. We talked
Okay.
for so long, but
well,
we will start. We'll post a full public file if you'd like.
Yeah, I'm fine. I believe in it. Yeah.
We know that you guys don't like talking to your supporters, as we keep getting interrupted several times. So we figure we'd just rather go directly to the source.
I don't know about. I'm willing to speak with you as long as it's after the rally, and obviously I have people to talk to, and people have come out to meet with us and support us, and I'm more than happy to meet with you. What I won't do is to have people feel like they're intimidated. Young children film when the parents don't want them to be, or people attempting to harass me while I'm trying to work. It's just basic respect of the press that we generally get from anyone else that would come here. We would also expect from you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.